Hi, I'm Teresa, Tomeo, Catholic author, speaker, and host of the daily morning radio program Catholic Connection, back with another segment of 10 Minutes with Teresa Tomeo, or 10 Minutes with T, which is my nickname. Welcome on board. Very excited about our guest today. And in these segments, what we're trying to do is take a brief look at important issues that affect our Catholic faith and our world. And the issue we're going to talk about today with Matt Smith is something that is very, very important. That's teens and the media. And Matt knows all about that from his own professional experience, a former MTV personality, working on many reality shows with the Music Television Network, and also running the internet ministry for Life Team. Now, he has another story that we'll get into in another segment about delivering his child on the road and becoming famous all over again, but we'll save that for the next segment, so you don't want to miss that. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
nice
absolutely.
To meet you.
It's great to be here. It's nice.
Let's talk a little bit, first of all, about your former life as an MTV star.
Yeah,
what was that like?
It was crazy. I was in college. MTV had come onto campus, and they were casting for this reality show. It's the first reality show series called The Real World.
Right.
Started 20 years ago, and they have a new season, a new city. And I was raised watching the show. And so when I found out they were coming to campus, I thought it'd be fun. I ended up missing the casting, but I did send a video. And 35,000 people tried out, and then 3 months later, 7 interviews. I was one of 7 people chosen. Wow. We filmed in the city of New Orleans, and we filmed for about 5 months, and then it aired the following fall and ran and reran, and I've done other productions for MTV. But it's the Real World and the Road Rules Challenge. That's my background.
Now, how did you get into what you're doing now with the internet and Life Team
Yeah,
ministry?
well, I was involved in my parish before MTV. During MTV, it was kind of funny when we were filming the reality show. I was a volunteer at a local church, and they had no idea that when I left the church, I went back onto a television show. So it's, my Catholic faith has always been a huge part of who I am, my family too. So there was never division there. There was never like the Hollywood version of me. So after the fact, I had a great experience with Life Teen as a college student. So after the show, I learned that Life Teen really wanted to take the internet seriously because, it was the most remarkable media shift in human history. So
sure.
I've been happy to steer the direction of that ministry. So
it's so neat, though, because your background, kids can relate to that. Young people can relate to that because you've been on MTV and you get the media thing. And I think it's helpful for me. I spent so many years in the secular media, now doing what I do in media awareness. And so if you have that experience, if you have that sincerity, that background, I think, kids are all about sincerity. They can size you up in like 10 seconds or less and know if you're telling them the real deal. But let's talk about the important issue of teens in media, because you know all too well about the impact. And we were talking before the program began about the fact that there is this sense of not being able to tell the difference between reality and fantasy.
Yeah, it's really true. I think, you hear like showbiz, you hear like the silver screen, there's all these euphemisms out there for adults where we understand there's a difference between the fantasy of entertainment media, whether it's music or the entertainment media and movies or even video games. There's the fantasy that it puts you into, but adults have been around long enough to know that's a fantasy. But for teenagers, it's a more sparkling reality than their own. There's the normalcy of their family, the normalcy of school, but that reality that's presented to them on television or a movie or a video game, a book, whatever it is, seems like a viable option. It's like I want to escape the normalcy of my own life. So whether you're just consuming the media or trying to recreate it in your own life, it's a tough line. And I think that as the human brain develops, as life experiences happen, you really start to see it for what it is. But for young people, I think that the media just gives a sparkling version of reality that just makes the normalcy of going to church and spending time with friends just seem kind of dull.
Well, there's been surveys out that show that among the top priorities of teens, I forget who did the actual survey, but I talk about this in my presentations, that at the top of their priority list is fame.
And it's above wealth.
Yeah, it is. It's fame, then wealth. And
that's right.
Yeah,
the lifestyles of the rich and famous. It's more about the famous and rich. Yeah, and I've seen that a lot. MTV put me in the spotlight, and for years, I walk around malls, the cities, whatever, people stop me on the street, and you could almost see it in their eyes, like there's just this fascination that I had what they wanted. And most of the questions I got were not about MTV. They were not about the production of a show. They weren't about what really happened. They wanted to know, what is it like to be famous? Because I know you haven't always been there. And then how can I get there? And I think deep down for young people, in that transition from childhood into adolescence, it's all about popularity. And really what you see on reality television or these, any types of these television shows, it's like you're seeing the pinnacle of popularity, the pinnacle of being liked and loved. And I think that's why there's that correlation between popularity and fame and why so many young people aspire towards that.
How important is it for parents, and we were talking about this with Mark Hart, whom you work with in Life Teen, for parents to really take what the church says and to be the primary catechist, because that's what parents are supposed to do. They granted, the church has to work with them, but the catechism says that it's the parents who are the primary educators. Because I see this, and I was mentioning this to you before, that so many parents still who are good Catholics, who are being true to the magisterium, are not controlling these media outlets in the home, and the influence is huge. But
yeah, it's a sensitive area, because I think some parents, it's a combination of things. They're kind of permissive. I'm a parent, and sometimes I'll be sitting next to my 2-year-old daughter thinking, okay, what does this do to a 2-year-old? And that type of vigilance after 15 years, you get kind of tired. So if your kids are laughing about it, they're not doing drugs or whatever, like, why not let them watch the Jersey Shore? It doesn't matter. So it's,
Lord, please.
Yeah, I don't want to go there. But it's permissive, kind of like, oh, it doesn't really matter, whatever. They're good kids. What does it matter? But I think a parent can never cease to be vigilant.
Yeah, especially nowadays. That's what Mark and I were talking about, because it's so overwhelming. I mean, you've got surveys that show that 22% of teen girls are sexting now. And the question was asked in that particular survey, do you know that this could possibly be damaging to you? That this could be used against you? And you know that some colleges now are turning away kids because of what they're posting on Facebook. So they've got to it's very, very serious.
Yeah, and it's not just a matter of there's long-term implications here. I mean,
right.
in our lifetime, some will be running for office, maybe even U.S. presidency, and they'll dig up a photo of him at a frat party, from 1992 or 95, whatever it is, and that's going to keep some from getting elected into office. Like, in our lifetime, that will happen. That what you did on Facebook 20 years ago will come back to haunt you. So I think those are sensational examples, but I think the truth is you have to keep your children's dignity as a top priority, and letting them just surf the internet without any sort of inhibition is not good for their dignity.
That's just crazy.
And parents know it deep down. I mean, this is your baby, this is your child, but I think that the busyness of life, the busyness of career, the busyness of providing for your children, those things can sometimes distract you from that vigilance. And I think we have to give parents permission to do what they want to do, which is to be vigilant for their children and to encourage that. And no one is really doing that now.
Right. And don't be afraid to say no and to be a parent.
Yeah, to be the tough one.
Yeah, it's really important. I always say, look, I'll put my mom Rose from Jersey on speed dial if you need some help with that, because she's one tough cookie, and she's still,
she needs her own reality show.
The ratings would be through the roof, trust me. Any other tips before we wrap up on this first segment for parents?
I would just say to parents, just love your kids, if your decisions, your discipline, if all that stuff just comes out of your love, your kids know that. And kids want boundaries.
They do. They want the discipline. That's the funny thing. Yeah. Because that shows them that you love them, that you're taking an interest in them. I remember I asked a group of 6th graders, why do your parents discipline you? And one kid just yelled, because they love us.
Wow.
No question. I mean, immediately he answered it. So I think they get it instinctively. How much has your determination to help teens deal with this kind of stuff grown since you have 2 children?
Oh, it's grown quite a bit. I mean, I know I'm watching my own little babies grow up, so hopefully, I believe that God's in control. I believe that, they're His children first. I'm proud of who I was on all my reality shows. I won't be afraid to pop in that DVD and watch episodes of my girls and stuff, but they're my babies. They're the center of my world, and I do anything for them.
Oh, that's great. So you have a website?
That's right, lifeteen.com. Check it out. It's a great website. It's for Catholic teenagers, so if you got Catholic kids, check it out, lifeteen.com. And we got a lot of great content on there. I mean, it's really the top-of-the-line Catholic teen website, so bookmark it,
and that's what they need. They need good stuff to go to, because there's so
I kind of
much
see
bad
it as
stuff
like
out there.
if you were to take a mall and to just fill in every spot with a mall with some sort of vice, like this is, a head shop sells drugs, this is whatever, that, if you're going to let your kids walk into that mall, wouldn't you want them to pass through a chapel first? And I kind of see lifeteen.com as like a chapel that you can pass through before you go on the rest of the internet. A lot of bad websites out there, so make lifeteen.com your homepage.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely,
Thanks
anytime.
for joining us.
Yeah.
I'm Teresa Tomeo, and we'll see you next time on 10 Minutes with T. To find out more about the show, go to faithandlifetv.com. To book Teresa for a speaking event or to find out more about Teresa's ministry, visit teresatomeo.com. We'll see you next time right here on 10 Minutes with T. God bless.